There is a moment in life that feels quiet, heavy, and uncertain. Nothing seems to move. Effort feels wasted. Progress feels invisible. This is often the phase right before everything changes. Most people misunderstand this phase. They think it means failure. They think it means they are going in the wrong direction. In truth, it is often a sign that something inside is being prepared. Stoicism teaches that life moves in cycles. Growth does not announce itself with noise. It happens in silence. Like roots growing under the ground, the most important work is done where no one can see it. When life feels slow, uncomfortable, or unfair, it is not punishing you. It is testing your ability to remain steady. Silence and stagnation often come before real growth. There are periods in life when nothing seems to happen, when effort produces no visible result, and when progress feels completely absent. This silence can feel uncomfortable, because the mind wants movement, signs, and reassurance. Yet, Stoic wisdom teaches that silence is not emptiness. It is a space where strength is being formed without noise or attention. Growth does not always feel active. Sometimes it feels like waiting, repeating the same actions, and facing the same challenges again and again. The mind may label this as stagnation, but in reality, it is a test of endurance. Just as muscles grow during rest after strain, the mind and character grow during these quiet phases when patience is required. In these moments, the greatest danger is not the lack of progress, but the story you tell yourself about it. When silence is mistaken for failure, frustration takes control. Stoicism reminds us that judgment shapes suffering more than circumstances. The situation itself is neutral. It is the meaning we assign that creates peace or pain. Stagnation often strips away false motivation. When praise disappears and results are delayed, only true discipline remains. This is when you discover whether your actions are rooted in values or in rewards. Acting without recognition builds integrity. It teaches you to move forward because it is right, not because it is noticed. Many people abandon their path during this phase because they believe growth should feel exciting. But real growth is often boring, repetitive, and uncomfortable. It demands consistency without stimulation. Stoic thought values this kind of steadiness. To continue doing the right thing when nothing changes on the outside is a sign of inner mastery. Silence also forces reflection. When life slows down, distractions fade, and the mind turns inward. This can feel uneasy, but it is necessary. In this stillness, weaknesses become visible. Habits are exposed. Excuses lose their power. Instead of running from this awareness, Stoicism teaches acceptance. What is seen clearly can be improved calmly. Stagnation teaches humility. It reminds you that progress does not obey your timeline. Nature moves at its own pace. Seeds grow underground long before they break the surface. Demanding immediate results only creates tension. Accepting the process builds calm. During silent phases, effort must become quiet. There is no need to announce your struggle or prove your commitment. The Stoic path values silent work. Improvement that happens privately is often the most durable. It builds confidence that does not depend on external validation. This phase strengthens emotional control. When nothing moves forward, impatience rises. Doubt grows louder. The practice is to observe these reactions without becoming them. You are not your frustration. You are the one who chooses how to respond to it. Silence before growth is a filter. It removes those who seek quick comfort and keeps those who can endure. If you remain steady, focused, and disciplined in this phase, you are already changing. even if the world has not yet reflected it. Delayed results are not failure, they are preparation. Our life often withholds visible progress, not to discourage you, but to prepare you for what is coming next. The mind is quick to label delay as defeat, yet Stoic thinking teaches that time itself is a tool. What feels like waiting is often a period of strengthening, refining, and testing your readiness. When results do not appear, impatience rises. You begin to question your choices, your effort, and even your worth. But effort and outcome are not the same. You can act correctly and still see no immediate reward. Stoicism reminds us that outcomes depend on many forces beyond our control. Your responsibility is not to force results, but to maintain right action. Preparation often looks ordinary. Repeating the same habits, facing the same obstacles, showing up when motivation is low. This repetition builds reliability. It trains the mind to act without emotional dependency. When success finally arrives, it is not the reward itself that matters, but the strength developed to handle it. Delayed results protect you from being unprepared. Sudden success without discipline can weaken character. Without patience, success becomes unstable. The waiting phase teaches restraint. It teaches humility. It teaches respect for process over desire. Many people fail not because they are incapable, but because they interpret delay as a sign to stop. Stoicism encourages a different interpretation. Delay is feedback. It asks you to refine, not retreat, to adjust effort, not abandon values. During preparation, flaws become visible. Weak habits surface. Inconsistent discipline is exposed. This is not punishment, it is information. Stoic practice values awareness over comfort. What is seen clearly can be corrected calmly, without emotion or self-blame. Preparation also strengthens emotional independence. When results are postponed, you learn to detach from expectations. You stop tying your peace to external outcomes. This builds inner stability. You become steady whether things move fast or slow. Delayed results also test commitment. It is easy to claim dedication when rewards are close. True commitment appears when effort continues despite uncertainty. This phase filters out impulsive desire and strengthens purposeful action. Time creates depth. Skills sharpen. Judgment improves. Confidence becomes quiet instead of loud. The person you are becoming matters more than the recognition you are waiting for. Preparation demands trust in the process. Not blind hope, but disciplined consistency. Doing what must be done regardless of feeling. Accepting what cannot be rushed. Remaining patient without becoming passive. What feels like standing still is often alignment. Each unseen effort adds weight to future movement. When change finally happens, it feels sudden to the outside world, but it is the result of long, invisible preparation. Pressure is shaping your character, not breaking it. When life presses down, the mind often assumes something is wrong. Comfort disappears, ease fades, and resistance becomes constant. Yet Stoic thinking teaches that pressure is not an enemy. It is a tool. Just as weight strengthens the body, pressure strengthens the inner self. Without pressure, character remains untested. Calm days do not reveal patience. Easy paths do not reveal discipline. It is only when circumstances become heavy that your inner structure is exposed. Pressure shows where you are strong and where you are still fragile. This exposure is not meant to shame you, but to guide your growth. Many people try to escape pressure as quickly as possible. They distract themselves, complain, or seek shortcuts. Stoicism teaches endurance instead. Not blind suffering, but conscious endurance. The ability to stay present, composed, and principled while discomfort exists. Pressure challenges emotional control. Anger rises faster. Fear becomes louder. Doubt feels more convincing. These reactions are natural, but they are not commands. Pressure gives you the opportunity to pause between stimulus and response. In that pause, character is formed. Each difficult moment asks a quiet question: will you act according to impulse or according to values? The answer is not decided once, but repeatedly. Every choice under pressure becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Pressure removes illusions. It strips away excuses and false confidence. When things are hard, you can no longer rely on motivation or mood. You must rely on discipline. This shift is crucial. Discipline does not depend on feeling good. It depends on commitment. Stoic wisdom values this shift because it builds reliability. A person who acts only when conditions are easy is unstable. A person who acts correctly under pressure becomes trustworthy, both to themselves and to others. Pressure also teaches humility. It reminds you that control is limited. You cannot command events, people, or outcomes. You can only command your responses. This realization is not weakness. It is clarity. When you stop fighting what you cannot control, energy is freed for what you can. In difficult phases, identity is tested. You may no longer feel confident, capable, or strong. Stoicism teaches that identity should not be built on feelings. Feelings change. Character remains. Our acting with integrity, even when you feel unsure, reinforces a stable sense of self. Pressure slows you down. It forces attention. Small mistakes become costly. This sharpens awareness. You begin to move with intention rather than haste. You listen more carefully. You choose more deliberately. These qualities are forged only under strain. Over time, pressure reshapes priorities. What once seemed urgent loses importance. What truly matters becomes clear. External approval fades. Inner alignment becomes valuable. This clarity is one of pressure's greatest gifts. The goal is not to enjoy pressure, but to use it. To let it refine instead of harden you. To remain firm without becoming bitter. To accept difficulty without surrendering values. When pressure stays and you remain steady, something shifts internally. You become less reactive, less shaken by uncertainty, more grounded in principle than circumstance. This change is quiet, but lasting. Focus only on what is within your control. Much of human suffering comes from fighting reality instead of understanding it. The mind reaches outward, trying to manage outcomes, people, and events that were never meant to be controlled. Stoic wisdom teaches a simpler, calmer approach. Direct your energy only toward what belongs to you: your thoughts, your choices, and your actions. When attention is scattered across things you cannot change, frustration grows. You replay conversations, imagine different outcomes, and carry anger toward circumstances that will not respond to emotion. This drains strength. Stoicism does not deny difficulty, but it removes unnecessary struggle by clearly separating what depends on you from what does not. What is within your control is always available. You can choose honesty even when others lie. Or you can choose effort even when results are uncertain. You can choose restraint even when emotions are intense. These choices shape character, and character is the only possession that cannot be taken by external forces. Focusing on control does not mean becoming passive. It means acting fully where action is possible, and releasing attachment where it is not. This balance creates calm strength. You move forward without being emotionally tied to outcomes beyond your reach. Many people confuse control with influence. You may influence others through example, but you cannot command their behavior. You may prepare carefully, but you cannot guarantee success. Accepting this truth reduces disappointment. It replaces expectation with readiness. When something goes wrong, the Stoic response is not blame, but adjustment. Instead of asking why this happened, the focus shifts to what can be done now. This keeps the mind active without becoming bitter. Control over thoughts is especially important. Thoughts appear automatically, but belief is a choice. You are not required to accept every idea that enters your mind. You can question it. You can let it pass. You can replace it with something more useful. By mastering attention, you regain peace. Attention directed inward becomes a stabilizing force. External chaos loses its power when your inner world is ordered. This focus also builds resilience. When life changes suddenly, those who rely on external stability suffer the most. Those who rely on internal discipline adapt faster. They are not unshaken because life is easy, but because their foundation is strong. Focusing on what you control simplifies life. Decisions become clearer. Energy is no longer wasted on resentment or fear. Effort becomes more effective because it is not divided. This practice requires constant repetition. The mind naturally drifts toward worry and prediction. Each time it does, gently return it to the present task. This is not suppression, but training. Over time, this habit changes how challenges are experienced. Problems become tasks instead of threats. Obstacles become exercises in judgment and action. By narrowing focus to what belongs to you, freedom increases. You are no longer pulled in every direction by external forces. You stand centered, grounded, and ready to respond with clarity and discipline. Discipline must exist without reward or recognition. Most people are willing to act when they are praised, noticed, or rewarded. Very few are willing to continue when effort goes unseen. Stoic thinking places great value on this quiet discipline, because it reveals true strength. When no one is watching, when no result appears, when no encouragement arrives, discipline becomes a choice rather than a reaction. External rewards create dependence. When motivation comes from applause, progress stops the moment applause disappears. Stoicism teaches independence from such conditions. The goal is not to be driven by approval, but by principle. You act because the action is right, not because it feels good or looks impressive. This kind of discipline is difficult because it offers nothing immediate. There is no emotional return, no social validation, no clear sign that the effort matters. The mind resists this. It asks why it should continue. Stoic practice answers simply, because it is within your control to act well. Working without recognition builds internal trust. Each time you follow through despite discomfort, you prove reliability to yourself. This creates quiet confidence. Not confidence that needs to be announced, but confidence that holds steady under pressure. Discipline without reward removes ego from effort. You stop performing for others. You stop measuring worth through external reactions. What remains is honesty. You know exactly why you act, and that clarity strengthens character. This practice also protects you from disappointment. When you do not expect praise, you are not shaken by its absence. When you do not rely on rewards, you are not discouraged by delay. Your effort becomes stable rather than conditional. Stoicism teaches that virtue is complete in itself. Our acting with discipline is already a success, regardless of outcome. This perspective transforms work. Even failure loses its power to demoralize, because the value was in the action, not the result. Most meaningful progress happens in private. Habits are formed alone. Skills are refined quietly. Strength grows in repetition, not in display. Those who rely on recognition often abandon these private efforts because they feel invisible. Stoic discipline continues regardless. This kind of consistency builds resilience. When life becomes difficult, those who trained only under easy conditions collapse. Those who practice discipline without reward remain steady. They are accustomed to effort without comfort. There will be moments when quitting seems logical, when effort feels pointless, when no one notices your work. These moments are not obstacles, they are tests. They ask whether your discipline depends on circumstance or conviction. Discipline without recognition also develops patience. You learn to accept slow progress. You learn to trust time rather than demand immediate return. This patience becomes a source of calm. Over time, this way of living changes how success is experienced. Achievement feels lighter. Pride becomes quieter. Satisfaction comes from alignment with values, not from external reaction. When recognition finally arrives, it does not control you. When reward appears, it does not define you. You have already built something stronger inside, a discipline that does not need permission to exist. Emotions are signals, not orders to follow. They arise naturally, often without invitation, shaped by habit, memory, and instinct. Stoic thinking does not deny emotions or attempt to erase them. Instead, it teaches a calmer relationship with them. Emotions are information, not authority. They indicate something is happening, but they do not decide what must be done. When anger appears, it signals a perceived threat or injustice. When fear arises, it signals uncertainty or potential loss. When sadness arrives, it signals attachment. These signals are useful, but they are incomplete. Acting on them without judgment often leads to regret. Stoicism teaches the pause, the moment where reason steps in before action. Most suffering comes not from emotion itself, but from obedience to it. A feeling appears, and the mind rushes to justify it. Words are spoken. Decisions are made. Consequences follow. Stoic practice interrupts this chain. It asks you to observe the emotion without becoming it. Observation creates distance. When you notice anger as a passing state rather than an identity, its grip weakens. You can say, "Anger is present," instead of "I am angry." This shift preserves clarity. You remain the one choosing, not the one reacting. Emotions often exaggerate reality. Fear predicts disaster. Anger assumes intent. Desire promises satisfaction. Stoicism challenges these impressions. It asks whether the situation truly demands reaction or simply attention. Most situations do not require immediate emotional action. Training this skill requires repetition. The first response may always be emotional. That is natural. The practice lies in the second response, the moment where you decide how to act despite the feeling. Each time you choose reason over impulse, the habit strengthens. This does not mean suppression. Ignoring emotions allows them to grow stronger. Stoicism encourages acknowledgement without surrender. You allow the emotion to exist, but you do not hand it control of your behavior. Emotional discipline builds freedom. When reactions are automatic, freedom is limited. When responses are chosen, freedom expands. You are no longer controlled by mood, opinion, or external pressure. This practice also improves relationships. Many conflicts escalate because emotions are treated as commands. Someone feels insulted, so they attack. Someone feels hurt, so they withdraw. Recognizing emotions as signals allows communication instead of reaction. In difficult moments, Emotions often arrive together. A fear mixes with anger. Doubt mixes with desire. The mind becomes crowded. Our Stoic training simplifies this chaos by returning to a single question: what action aligns with my values right now? By answering this question, behavior becomes consistent. You are no longer different depending on mood. Integrity becomes stable. Others learn they can rely on your reactions because they are measured, not impulsive. Over time, emotions lose their power to overwhelm. They still arise, but they pass more quickly. The mind becomes quieter. Decisions become clearer. This calm does not come from numbness, but from understanding. You respect emotions without obeying them. You listen without surrendering control. This balance is at the heart of Stoic strength. Patience in difficulty builds unshakable strength. When life becomes hard, the instinct is to rush, to escape discomfort as quickly as possible. The mind seeks fast solutions and immediate relief. Stoic thinking teaches a different response. It teaches patience, not as passive waiting, but as steady endurance guided by reason. Difficulty exposes how the mind reacts under strain. Impatience grows when outcomes are delayed. Frustration rises when effort feels wasted. Stoicism reminds us that these reactions are natural, but they do not have to control behavior. Our patience is the ability to remain composed while pressure exists. True patience is active. It involves continuing to act correctly despite discomfort. It is showing up even when the mind demands rest. It is choosing restraint when anger feels justified. This form of patience strengthens the inner structure of the mind. Enduring difficulty without panic builds trust in yourself. Each time you remain calm instead of reactive, you confirm that you can handle more than you think. This confidence is quiet, but it lasts. Difficulty also slows life down. It removes ease and comfort, forcing attention onto the present moment. Our patience allows you to work within this slowed pace instead of fighting it. You learn to move carefully, deliberately, and with intention. Stoicism teaches that not everything can be fixed quickly. Some problems require time. Some lessons require repetition. Patience accepts this reality without resentment. It does not mean approval of hardship, but acceptance of its presence. Impatience adds unnecessary suffering. It creates mental resistance to what already exists. Patience removes this resistance. The situation may remain difficult, but the mind becomes less burdened. This practice strengthens emotional control. When difficulty persists, emotions attempt to take over. Fear predicts endless struggle. Anger demands reaction. Patience creates space between feeling and action. In that space, wisdom grows. Patience also protects decision-making. Rushed decisions made under stress often create new problems. Patient decisions are measured, informed, and aligned with values. This reduces regret. Over time, patience transforms how difficulty is experienced. Challenges feel less threatening. Setbacks feel temporary. The mind becomes accustomed to endurance. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. This strength does not come from force, but from consistency. Each small act of patience compounds. Each moment of restraint adds stability. The mind becomes less shaken by uncertainty. Patience also reshapes expectations. You stop demanding immediate results. You begin to respect process. This shift brings calm. In difficulty, patience keeps character intact. It prevents bitterness. It prevents reckless action. It preserves dignity. When patience becomes a habit, difficulty loses its power to intimidate. You no longer fear slow progress or delayed resolution. You trust your ability to endure without losing clarity or values. This is strength that cannot be taken away. Patience in difficulty builds unshakable strength. When life becomes hard, the instinct is to rush, to escape discomfort as quickly as possible. The mind seeks fast solutions and immediate relief. Stoic thinking teaches a different response. It teaches patience, not as passive waiting, but as steady endurance guided by reason. Difficulty exposes how the mind reacts under strain. Impatience grows when outcomes are delayed. Frustration rises when effort feels wasted. Stoicism reminds us that these reactions are natural, but they do not have to control behavior. Patience is the ability to remain composed while pressure exists. True patience is active. It involves continuing to act correctly despite discomfort. It is showing up even when the mind demands rest. It is choosing restraint when anger feels justified. This form of patience strengthens the inner structure of the mind. Enduring difficulty without panic builds trust in yourself. Each time you remain calm instead of reactive, you confirm that you can handle more than you think. This confidence is quiet, but it lasts. Difficulty also slows life down. It removes ease and comfort, forcing attention onto the present moment. Our patience allows you to work within this slowed pace instead of fighting it. You learn to move carefully, deliberately, and with intention. Stoicism teaches that not everything can be fixed quickly. Some problems require time. Some lessons require repetition. Patience accepts this reality without resentment. It does not mean approval of hardship, but acceptance of its presence. Impatience adds unnecessary suffering. It creates mental resistance to what already exists. Patience removes this resistance. The situation may remain difficult, but the mind becomes less burdened. This practice strengthens emotional control. When difficulty persists, emotions attempt to take over. Fear predicts endless struggle. Anger demands reaction. Patience creates space between feeling and action. In that space, wisdom grows. Patience also protects decision-making. Rushed decisions made under stress often create new problems. Patient decisions are measured, informed, and aligned with values. This reduces regret. Over time, patience transforms how difficulty is experienced. Challenges feel less threatening. Setbacks feel temporary. The mind becomes accustomed to endurance. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. This strength does not come from force, but from consistency. Each small act of patience compounds. Each moment of restraint adds stability. The mind becomes less shaken by uncertainty. Patience also reshapes expectations. You stop demanding immediate results. You begin to respect process. This shift brings calm. In difficulty, patience keeps character intact. It prevents bitterness. It prevents reckless action. It preserves dignity. When patience becomes a habit, difficulty loses its power to intimidate. You no longer fear slow progress or delayed resolution. You trust your ability to endure without losing clarity or values. This is strength that cannot be taken away. Endurance now leads to sudden change later. Life often moves in a way that feels unfair to the impatient mind. Long periods of effort pass with little reward, then change appears all at once. Stoic thinking understands this pattern and prepares the mind to endure without demanding immediate proof that progress is happening. Endurance is not dramatic. It is quiet repetition. It is waking up and doing the same work again despite fatigue, doubt, or boredom. The mind wants signs, reassurance, and milestones. Endurance offers none of these. It asks for commitment without confirmation. Most people underestimate the power of steady effort because its effects are invisible at first. Skills improve slowly. Strength builds gradually. Discipline forms quietly. Nothing feels different day to day. Stoicism teaches trust in accumulation. Small actions repeated over time create force. Sudden change is rarely sudden in truth. It is the visible result of long, unseen endurance. From the outside, it looks like luck or timing. From the inside, it feels earned. The work was done when no one noticed. Our endurance reshapes the mind before it reshapes circumstances. While waiting for change, patience develops. Emotional control strengthens. Expectations soften. These internal changes prepare you to handle external shifts when they arrive. Without endurance, sudden change can be damaging. Success without restraint leads to excess. Opportunity without discipline leads to waste. Stoicism values endurance because it prepares character to match circumstance. During long stretches of effort, doubt grows loud. The mind asks if this is worth it. Stoic practice answers by returning to values rather than predictions. You act because the action is right, or not because the outcome is guaranteed. Endurance also builds identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who continues regardless of condition. This self-image becomes a source of strength. You trust your ability to persist even when clarity is absent. There is also freedom in endurance. When you stop demanding immediate change, pressure eases. You focus on the present task instead of future reward. This reduces anxiety and sharpens attention. Stoicism teaches acceptance of timing. Nature does not rush. Growth happens when conditions align. Endurance respects this law. It does not force results. It remains ready. In difficult phases, endurance protects against despair. It provides structure when motivation fails. Even when hope feels distant, routine remains. This stability keeps the mind from collapsing under uncertainty. Change often arrives unexpectedly because endurance shifts perception. You are no longer scanning for progress. You are simply working. When movement happens, it surprises you because you were not chasing it. Endurance also removes fear of slow progress. You become familiar with waiting. Delays no longer threaten identity or confidence. You understand that time is part of the process. This mindset creates calm momentum. You are moving even when it feels like standing still. Each day adds weight to the future. When change finally appears, it feels lighter because endurance carried the burden in advance. You are not overwhelmed because you have already practiced patience, restraint, and focus. Endurance is not about suffering endlessly. It is about remaining steady long enough for reality to shift. The person who endures becomes ready for the moment when effort and timing finally meet.